We're swimming in information every single day. But let's be real. How much of it is actually designed to manipulate us? Today, we're going to dive into the wild world of propaganda. We'll look at how it works, and maybe more importantly, the surprisingly tricky art of how to actually fight back. And this isn't some newfangled problem. Way back over 2,000 years ago, the Greek playwright Aeschylus wrote, "There is a moment when God honors falsehood." That's a pretty heavy thought, right? It's a powerful reminder that this struggle we have against a really convincing lie, well, it's been with us pretty much since the dawn of civilization.
Okay, so let's fast forward from ancient Greece to right now. That age-old problem, it's now playing out at the speed of light. The whole battleground has shifted from, the town square to our digital screens, and it has ignited a completely new kind of information war.
So what makes this era so different? Well, it's the sheer scale of it all. We are facing media manipulation on a level we've never seen before. The sources we're digging into today, they point to state actors like Russia, using psychological warfare and disinformation on a massive, massive scale. It's really become one of the defining challenges of our time.
In this slide, wow, it just perfectly captures that evolution. So on the left, you've got this classic North Korean propaganda poster. Very old school. But then on the right, look at this. A tweet from Iran's foreign minister right after flight PS-752 was shot down. See how he completely sidesteps his own military's mistake and blames, quote, U.S. adventurism? The tools change for sure, but the goal, controlling the story, is exactly the same. So, the tools are brand new, hyper-fast, digital. But here's the kicker. The playbook for fighting back is surprisingly old. The strategies we're grappling with today are actually rooted in a long and pretty complicated history.
So, the modern story really kicks off in the 18th century. With the rise of citizen armies, suddenly public opinion became absolutely critical for any war effort. Then you jump to World War I and boom, propaganda is now an official branch of government. This led to this massive propaganda phobia in the 1930s, which sparked a ton of new research, and that research in turn ended up fueling the giant U.S. information campaigns during the Cold War.
And all of this brings us to our big key term for today, counter-propaganda. Now, this isn't just about yelling back. It's about organized, deliberate attempts to fight an opponent's ideas. And that can range from something small, like a tactical fact check, to huge, long-term communication strategies. So you can basically break this down into two main approaches. On the tactical level, you're just pushing back against one specific thing, like debunking a single rumor that's going around. But on the strategic level, you're trying to change the entire information landscape. A perfect example of this is when the BBC launched its foreign language broadcasts. That was a huge move designed to offer a real alternative to totalitarian narratives.
And get this. This is where it gets really interesting. Propagandists almost never think of themselves as the bad guys. If you look back through history, from the Counter-Reformation all the way to the Cold War, they've almost always framed their own work as a defensive act, as countering the lies of their enemies.
Okay, so if everybody is claiming that they're just fighting the other side's lies, how can any of us spot the difference? Well, let's turn to a toolkit developed by the very first experts who tried to, inoculate the public against this stuff. All right, so way back in the 1930s, the Institute for Propaganda Analysis identified 7 key tricks of the trade, and I guarantee you've seen all of these. There's name-calling to make an opponent look bad, using vague but really appealing glittering generalities like making the country great. There's card stacking, where you only present one side of the story, and of course the bandwagon effect, to make it seem like everyone else is already on board. Recognizing these is like having a secret decoder ring for all the media you consume. But here's the thing, just knowing the techniques isn't enough. Because when you try to fight back, there is a major hidden trap. Sometimes, your efforts to correct the record can actually make things much, much worse. Just let that sink in for a second. What if every single time you repeated a lie just so you could debunk it, you're actually helping to cement that lie in people's minds? Well, there's a name for that phenomenon.
It's called the backfire effect. And honestly, understanding this is absolutely crucial if we're going to have any hope of fighting disinformation effectively today.
The psychology behind it is just wild. When a belief is tied to our identity, to our emotions, a direct factual assault can feel like a personal attack. So what do? Instead of changing our minds, we double down. We hold on to our original belief even more tightly. It's basically a defense mechanism for our entire worldview. And believe it or not, this isn't some new discovery. As this quote shows, researchers during World War II were already totally aware of this risk.
The U.S. Office of War Information even canceled a whole national radio program that was supposed to debunk German rumors, because they realized the juicy rumors were way more memorable than the boring old facts used to deny them.
So, if just shouting "you're wrong" at people can totally backfire, what actually works? Let's take a look at some smarter, more nuanced strategies that history has actually proven to be effective.
So the lessons from history point to playing a completely different game. First, it's about being proactive, treating media literacy as a core skill of being a citizen. Second, you have to handle rumors like they're radioactive, targeting your counter messages only in the places where the rumor is already spreading. It's also about focusing on good news and letting your actions speak louder than your words. And maybe the most important thing of all, it all has to start with sustained listening, actually understanding the grievances that make people vulnerable to this stuff in the first place.
Honestly, the best way to think about all this is to see it like public health. You don't just wait around for an epidemic to hit your city, right? No, you work to build up the population's immunity beforehand. The goal isn't just to cure the disease of misinformation after it's spread, it's to inoculate society against future outbreaks.
And that leaves us with one final and pretty provocative thought. What if the best strategy isn't just about fighting lies with facts, but about changing the game itself? What if we could actually give the propagandists a greater stake in telling the truth? I mean, what would that world even look like? It's a really complex question, but it's an essential one to ask. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.